Hi there, sports fans. This is Try TV. Ako po si Quinito Henson. At ang pag-uusapan natin in this special live episode tonight, live na live po tayo, is a preview of Game 7, Barangay Ginebra versus the Bay Area Dragons of the PBA Commissioners Cup Finals. Okay, yan po pag-uusapan natin. But before we talk about Game 7, let's review kung ano po nangyari dun sa Game 6 because that was very critical. Kung nanalo po ang Ginebra in Game number 6, tapos na ang labanan. Champion ang Ginebra. However, Bay Area had a change of import. Miles Powell checking in for Andrew Nicholson. Remember, the last two games, hindi po naglaro ng import ang Bay Area, but they brought in Miles Powell. Okay yan sa rules. That is allowed by the PBA to have any import change even with 1 or 2 games left in the finals. So, pumasok po si Miles Powell, he scored 29 points. He wasn't 100%, but still, Bay Area won that game 87-84. But Barangay Ginebra had a chance to send it into overtime with 5 seconds to go. Panuorin po natin in this special footage of the last 5 seconds kung ano po nangyari because I thought the Bay Area Dragons anticipated the moves of Ginebra very, very well, and they played excellent defense. Let's roll that tape. 5 seconds po. You notice that Justin Brownlee is going to be inbounding the ball. And usually, once kung sino po mag-inbound, let's roll that again. Hindi natin masyado nakita kung ano nangyari. Let's roll that again. Okay, you see Justin Brownlee inbounding the ball. Brownlee trying to go one way, trying to get a handoff from Japet Aguilar. He couldn't get the ball. Nag-pop out po si L.A. Tenorio. He got the ball, but he didn't have good vision. Nandun si Glenn Young. Pinasa ulit niya kay Japet Aguilar. Japet was forced to take the shot. Again, watch it. There's the inbound. You watch Brownlee. He was trying to go one way, but nakadikit sa kanya si Hayden Blankley. L.A. Tenorio got the pass. After popping out, he passed it back to Japet. Japet had absolutely no option but to throw up the shot because time was running out. So, I thought two things that happened there. Number one, yung excellent defense ni Hayden Blankley ng Bay Area, denying the pass to Justin Brownlee. So, Brownlee tried to go one way to the right. Hindi siya nakakuha ng bola. You watch it right here because nakadikit sa kanya si Blankley. You also notice that Brownlee is going to try to move to the left to get another pass. Still, he couldn't get anything from Japet Aguilar. Japet was Glenn Young. Watch it here. Okay, na kay LA, pero pinasa niya ulit kay Japet and no time left. Japet had to take that shot. Excellent defense by the Bay Area Dragons. Two options for Ginebra in that play was for Brownlee to take the three-point shot or L.A. Tenorio to take the three-point shot. Neither had good vision because of the defense ng Bay Area. Japet Aguilar winding up, taking the last second shot na hindi pumasok. Remember, ang lead ng Bay Area was 3, so they had to take a 3-point shot to send it into overtime. But that's the way it went. But just to review kung ano pa nangyari doon sa game number 6, in the last 5 minutes and 45 seconds of the fourth quarter of the entire game, Barangay Ginebra had 10 field goal attempts. They only made 1 out of 10. That was a 2-point shot by Brownlee. And at the same time, Bay Area was able to get the last 6 points from Miles Powell. So that was really a display of excellent defense ng Bay Area to shut down Barangay Ginebra. 1 out of 10 from the field in the last 5 minutes and 45. And Bay Area hanging on to win by 3. Also, let's note that in 3-point shooting, Bay Area had 17 connections from 3-point distance, while Barangay Ginebra had only 7. That's a difference of 10 3-point shots. Times 3, that's 30 points difference that Bay Area was able to score from the 3-point line against Barangay Ginebra. Note that in game number 6, Jamie Malonzo, L.A. Tenorio, Scotty Thompson, and Japet Aguilar were a combined 0 out of 10 from 3-point distance. But if you're Barangay Ginebra, you have to have consolation in the fact that, number one, they were able to force 24 turnovers against Bay Area in that game. And that's a lot. And they were able to score, let's check that. They were able to score 22 turnover points against only 8 for Bay Area. In turnovers, it was 24 for Bay Area and only 16 for Barangay Ginebra. That's an area that I'm sure Bay Area noticed will be an issue of concern. And for Barangay Ginebra, they want to be able to exploit yung tendency ng Bay Area to commit a lot of errors. Okay, now, we also have special footage para sa inyo. A practice that happened today, Bay Area going over to the Philippine Arena for the first time to get used to the depth, to the magnitude of the arena. Let's take a look at what happened in their first practice ever at the Philippine Arena. Ito nakikita natin, assistant coach Billy Tomlinson giving the ball off, and then the camera panning to see how large is the Philippine Arena. You see the Bay Area Dragons taking some shots. Wala yata pumapasok sa mga tira nila doon. Ayun, may pumasok sa loob. But I think it was important for Bay Area to go over to the Philippine Arena so they get a feel of what that arena is all about. 55,000 seats. And talking about the seating capacity ng the Philippine Arena, let me now share with you the 3 attendance records, the highest ever, charted by the PBA. Okay, the first one was 52,612. That was in the 2014-15 Philippine Cup opening. It was a double header. The next one was Game 6, 2017 Governors Cup Finals, 53,642. And then the all-time record was in Game 7 between Barangay Ginebra and Meralco, 2017 Governors Cup Finals, and that drew an audience of 54,086. Now, the big question is, ano kaya mangyayari? Bukas na bukas, Game 7, PBA Commissioners Cup Finals between Bay Area and Barangay Ginebra. Will that record of 54,086 be shattered? Balita, all sold out na po, other than the general admission seats. So it looks like we are going to be having, well, I'm hoping, more than 50,000 fans crowding the Philippine Arena for this epic showdown. 3-all, both these teams, they're going to go to a winner-take-all, do-or-die showdown in game number 7. Now, if you take a look at the trend of this series, Barangay Ginebra has won all the all the odd games, 1, 3, and 5. Bay Area has won all the even games, 2, 4, and 6. Game 7 will be an odd game. Will that trend continue? Because if it does, Barangay Ginebra will win. Let me also share with you something else. If it's high scoring, I say it'll be Bay Area. And the reason is, in the 3 wins of Bay Area, they were able to score 93.3 points. But in the 3 losses of Bay Area, Ginebra was able to limit them to 84.7. If it's low scoring, Barangay Ginebra. If it's high scoring, it's going to be Bay Area. Now let's share with you some quotes from the opposing coaches. And this is from Coach Tincon. This is an exclusive quote from Coach Tincon. And sabi niya, playing a guest team made this special. Coach Brian Gurjan has done an incredible job maneuvering through all the lineup changes and keeping his team positive. Note that Coach Tincon has coached 6 games in the Philippine Arena. His record is 5 wins and 1 loss. The only loss was in Game 6 of the 2017 Governors Cup Finals to Meralco. So napakagandang record ni Coach Tincon sa Philippine Arena, 5-1. Ito naman si Coach Brian Gurjan. And he's saying, I have spoken about what we control, what we can control, rebounding, getting back on defense, playing defense without fouling. I think it's important that Coach Brian Gurjan keeps his players' feet on the ground and not let them be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the crowd and the expanse of the venue, the Philippine Arena. And Coach Brian Gurjan certainly knows how to keep things under control. And sinasabi niya, forget about things that we cannot control, meaning to say officiating, meaning to say the crowd, but focus on things that they can control. Rebounding, getting back on defense, playing defense, and without fouling. So, napakaganda ng quote ni Coach Brian Gurjan. At the same time, ang sinabi ni Coach Tincon in the previous quote, this is a special finals for him. More than any other finals that he has been to, this is particularly special for two reasons. Number one, ang kalaban ng Barangay Ginebra, dayuhan, a foreign guest team. At pangalawa, ang kalaban ni Coach Tim Cohn is Coach Brian Gurjan, who is in the record books as the only coach who has brought a team from Asia and Oceania to a podium finish in men's basketball in the Olympics. And that happened in the last Olympics when Coach Brian took Australia to a bronze medal finish in the Tokyo Olympics. Okay, now let's talk about itong palagay ko hinihintay ninyo. Keys to win. All right. And for keys to win, let's start with the Bay Area Dragons. I think it's important that they have ball security, meaning to say, less turnovers, preserve possessions. Sabi na natin kanina, they had 24 turnovers in game number 6. You don't want to make that happen again. If they can limit their turnovers to 15 and below, that's going to be a very, very positive thing for the Bay Area Dragons. So number one is ball security. Number two is make the extra pass off the picks. And I think that is very critical for Bay Area because they have shooters in the corners, they have shooters in the elbow, they like to hit from three-point distance. That is their game, three-point shooting, 17 three-point connections in game number 6, only 7 for Barangay Ginebra. But they need to make the extra pass so that the defense of Barangay Ginebra is disengaged. Hindi sila makapag-close out and they're not able to control kung saan mapupunta yung bola. Pangatlo is foul management or foul control. Many times, Bay Area gets into the penalty situation in a quarter very early. Their key players oftentimes get into foul trouble. Hayden Blankley at saka si Ju Song Wei in particular. You don't want that to happen. In a game 7, you want to make sure that all your key players are still actively involved in the game down to the last second. Pang-apat, why not use a small lineup for pace? Pansin natin that in game number 6, nung pumasok si Miles Powell, nawalaan ng oras si Kobe Lamb, who has been a hot shooter for them. I think for game number 7, Coach Brian might want to experiment with a small lineup, putting Kobe Lamb at number 3, Miles Powell at number 2, Glenn Yang at number 1. And then maybe put Hayden Blankley at number 4, and then Ray Song Wei at number 5. That could be the small lineup just to put pressure on Barangay Ginebra. And, Bay Area is a very young team. They're averaging only 26.7 years of age as against Barangay Ginebra's 31.8. So if they try to outrun Barangay Ginebra from the start, they're hoping that maybe down the stretch, Bay Area will have more gas in the tank than Barangay Ginebra. And finally, they need a balanced attack. It's not just going to be Miles Powell. It'll have to be Hayden Blankley, Ju Song Wei. It'll have to be Liu Changjing. I think all the other players, Kobe Lamb, Glenn Yang, they all have to be contributing to get a balanced attack for Bay Area. So keys to win, I say balanced attack because they will win with offense, while Barangay Ginebra will try to win it with defense. And talking about Barangay Ginebra, ito naman po ang kanilang keys to win. Number one is they've got to be very unpredictable in offense because very tight guarding ang ginagawa ng Bay Area. So if they are unpredictable, meaning to say, Bay Area cannot guess who's going to take the shot. Will it be Scotty? Will it be L.A. Tenorio? Will it be Jamie Malonzo? Stanley Pringle? And it can't just be Justin Brownlee. Number two, they have to do collective rebounding because malalaki yung mga Bay Area. They need to be boxed out. And when you're boxing out a big guy from the opposing team, it's got to be a team effort in rebounding. When one boxes out, somebody has to collect the rebound. That's why it has to be a team effort in rebounding. Next is you need to constrict the space, not only in terms of tight guarding in the closeouts for the three-point shooters, but also in congesting the lane to make sure walang masyadong spacing ang Bay Area for them to run their pick and rolls and for them to run their handoffs and ball screens to be able to get good shots. Next is local firepower support. As I mentioned earlier, yung unpredictable offense, you cannot rely totally on Justin Brownlee. The reason why I say this was because in game number 6, Brownlee had 37 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists. He had a triple-double, yet natalong Barangay Ginebra. And that's because walang masyadong contribution si Jamie Malonzo. He only had 4 points. L.A. Tenori had no point at all. Scotty Thompson had 9 points. So None of those guys in double figures. There's got to be local firepower support. Finally, backcourt pressure, because I think Bay Area generates a lot of its offense from the guards. And if Barangay Ginebra puts pressure on the guards, they will be forced to release, pass it to some other guys to take the shot, and that'll make it easier for the bigs of Barangay Ginebra to clamp down defensively. So those are the keys to win for Barangay Ginebra. Now we've got some questions from our followers who sent in those questions through Twitter. And here's a question from Mina Penguin 19. Good afternoon po, sir. For the Jinkins, sino po tingin nyo ang babantay kay Powell? For the Dragons naman po, they almost lost Game 6 because of Ginebra's incredible run in the second half. Yes, Ginebra brought down that lead to 5 points. Even it was told that they don't collapse that fast, how will Coach Brian address this? Okay, first question is, sino kaya babantay kay Powell? Initially, si Scottie Thompson yan, because that's the matchup at the two-guard position. Pero palagay ko si Nards Pinto will also take on that role sometime during the game. Nards Pinto told me that guarding Miles Powell is tough because ang tinuturing niya kay Miles Powell is, he says, Miles Powell is like a Damian Lillard. And, you know, that's a great comparison. Okay, they almost lost Game 6 because of Ginebra's incredible run. How will Coach Brian address this? I think the players of Bay Area need to play composed. They need to show poise. Poise will come from the guards. They provide the leadership on the floor. Glenn Yan provides that leadership. Miles Powell does it as well. So in the face of any run by Barangay Ginebra, it's important that Coach Brian has those two guards, Glenn Yan and Miles Powell, control the tempo and keep their teammates calm. Okay, next question naman. And this is coming from, Taliano Gold Suit. Could we now say, based on numbers, that Bay Area Dragons take three-point shots as part of their game plan and not because they are less aggressive? Yes, I would think so. I think in a lot of their games, they take more three-point shots than two-point shots. In fact, they're averaging over 50% of their shots taken from three-point distance. That's a major part of their game. But for them to be able to get the three-point shots, their shooters have to be open. And that means ball movement. That also means very quick movement among the players themselves. So, yes, that is certainly a part of their game, taking three-point shots. Okay, next question, please. Ito naman po kay JX250, Mr. Dean, question lang. Masasabi na kaya natin na si General L.A. Tonoro isa na rin bang legend ng PBA o ng Ginebra if makakuha ng itong championship bukas laban sa guest team ng Bay Area Dragons? Yes, I think L.A. Tonoro is definitely a PBA legend and a future Hall of Famer. Let me also say that L.A. Tonoro right now has 4 finals MVPs and he's tied for the record with James Yap, Danny Segal, and Junmar Fajardo. So, kung sakasakali man, L.A. Tonoro gets a 5th finals MVP. Whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens in the future, he will be now the new record holder to be the only PBA player with 5 finals MVPs. L.A. Tonoro, by the way, has not missed a single game in his PBA career since turning pro in 2006. Okay, next question po. Okay, Dean, after the Bay Area experience, and this is from Paulo Catalan, will the PBA consider having import conferences with 2 imports? Dati ginagawa yan ng PBA to have imports, 2 imports per team. Pero mahal po yan eh. Medyo you have to stretch your budget kung kukuha sila ng 2 imports. So baka it may not happen in the near future. But who knows? You can never say no to something like that because it is a good suggestion and it's been done before. Next part of the question is, apart from the replacement, before that, apart from the replacement, they fill needs such as rim protection, wing players, tweener forwards who can switch, all of which are lacking and go to the guys. Yes. Do you mean that as far as Barangay Ginebra is concerned, these are the type of players who can, whom they need for an import? Well, yes and no, because, see, Justin Brownlee is only 6'4" and 5'8", but he plays so many positions, he does so many things, and he plays beyond his height. One thing about Justin Brownlee is that he has heart. He plays with a tremendous spirit. You never say die attitude with Justin Brownlee. talagang hindi natin matatawaran. And, I feel that's the reason why he's going down in history as the best ever import to play in the PBA. Okay, next question, please. Okay, this is from Norley Marasigan. Remember Coach Yang comment during semis, they're preparing for Nicholson and Bay Area change for Powell, meaning Bay Area is carrying 2 NBA imports, 2 cents. At tapos meron din siyang pahabol dito, can be considered 2 imports for Bay Area Dragons because they can switch NBA imports during injuries. What if JP got injured? Can we replace him during the finals? The answer to that is yes. All PBA teams have an opportunity to change imports at any time during the conference, even if it's just for one game in the finals. All PBA teams have that privilege to do that. And the only restriction for the local or resident PBA teams is the original import can be reinstated only once. The replacement import cannot be reinstated. And you cannot get a replacement import from any imports who played in that same conference or any import whose rights are still held by any other team. However, let me also say that Bay Area being a partner of the PBA, and because the PBA is also going to be playing in the EASL, alam mo, bigayan yan because we're now partners with this, with a tremendous league, the East Asia Super League, that can give the PBA exponential growth in markets beyond the Philippines into the region. And Bay Area asked for certain concessions. The PBA said yes to some. The PBA said no to others. But one concession was, number one, the original import may be reinstated twice. And that's the reason why Powell is playing now in the finals. Whereas other PBA teams, the original import can be reinstated only once. So yan ang isang concession. Pangalawang concession to the Bay Area Dragons, ang kanilang replacement import si Andrew Nicholson may be reinstated once. So other teams, the replacement import cannot be reinstated at all. But those are things that you allow for a foreign guest team because this is the first time they're playing in the PBA. We also want to welcome them with hospitality. We also want to to make them feel comfortable that in the PBA, they are well-liked and they are well-loved. And certainly, the Bay Area Dragons are proving their worth. Okay, maraming salamat for those questions. And, well, if you have any questions, please throw them in. Here's our question right here from Clara Banangkil. Kailan umpisa ang Governors Cup at tuloy ang EASL season? Mag-umpisa ang Governors Cup January 22, so next Sunday, mag-uumpisa na po yan. All the imports are already in town. At tuloy ang EASL season, yes, matutuloy ang EASL Champions Week. That's March 1 to 5, and that will be held in Japan. First part will be in a suburb of Tokyo. The second part, the finals and the semifinals, will be held in Okinawa. And why Okinawa? It's because that will be a prelude to the FIBA World Cup because Okinawa will be hosting 2 divisions in the group stage for the FIBA World Cup this coming August. So that's it. Oh, here's another question from Jalosa Knows. Keys to win para sa Ginebra for Game 7, aggressively, less turnover, shut down power of Powell, control the rebound, control the game, good perimeter and paint game. From Jeffrey Zaf from Malabon. Magandang Dean's List yan. I hope it's okay, Jeffrey. I might borrow some of your points for my Dean's List in tomorrow's game. Maraming salamat for that comment. By the way, for the game tomorrow, I'm very excited because we will have a 3-man panel for the TV5 coverage. That will be Charlie Cuna and our guest analyst, Coach Norman Black. And I will be doing also the color commentary, and I will have the Dean's List ready for all of you. Here's something from Elsie Buena. Lockdown defense on Powell and Blankley. Less errors and make shots under pressure for Ginebra. Totoo yan. I think for Ginebra, they need to be able to control the pace. And, I'm sure Bay Area also wants to do the same thing. Ginebra needs to be able to slow down the pace, play deliberate style because bumabalik na naman ang triangle offense ni Coach Tim Cohn, and he's putting a premium on a lot of people movement in the half-court set. While for Bay Area, they like to hit the outside shot, the three-pointer, on early offense. They like to pull up for those jump shots, even from beyond the arc. They would like to play transition. So if it's going to be a running game, meaning to say high scoring, it'll be Bay Area. If it'll be a slow down game, deliberate and low scoring, it'll be Barangay Ginebra. Okay, here's another one from Joy and Comienda. Sir Quinito, hindi pa bawal mag-practice sa mismong venue ng paglalaroan. Unfair yun sa Ginebra. Ano yun mag-practice ang Bay para makapag-adjust ng shooting? That's not fair. Hindi yung tama yun. Fair naman yan. Philippine Arena is open to all parties. In other words, Barangay Ginebra also had the privilege to practice. Ganun pong ginagawa sa FIBA. Yung po mga venues ng FIBA, pati sa PBA, no? Pati sa UAAP, if there is going to be a venue, for instance, Araneta, they will allow the day before the teams to practice at Araneta. That's part of the game. That's being fair to all the teams so that they are not caught being unfamiliar with a venue condition. So, binigyan ng pagkakataon ng PBA ang Bay Area to practice at Philippine Arena. So, they took that privilege and they practiced today. Nalula sila sa laki ng Philippine Arena. That privilege was also given to Barangay Ginebra, but since Barangay Ginebra has already played several games there, in fact, Barangay Ginebra has played 7 games. Okay, 7 games in the Philippine Arena. They opted not to practice at the Philippine Arena. Okay, here's another question from Music Jam. Good evening, Dean. Our Bay Area used to play for 50,000 fans. The answer is resoundingly no. Hindi sila sanay. In fact, nung game number 6, 22,000 nandun sa Coliseum, sa Smart Araneta Coliseum, they were so overwhelmed. But still, they kept their poise. And, I think that's also a reason kung bakit napakagaling na coach si Coach Brian Gurjan, because he managed to keep his boys' feet on the ground. In spite of the howling crowd, over 22,000, Bay Area still managed to win by 3 points. And however, over 50,000, ewan ko lang kung kakayanin nila. This is going to be a very, very new experience for the Bay Area Dragons, precisely because I mentioned earlier, Bay Area is the youngest team in the PBA, 26.7 years old, ang average age nila. Hayden Blankley is only 22 years old. He's the youngest player in the PBA. Kobe Lam is also 22 years old, but he's 4 months older than Hayden Blankley. But both of those guys are 22 years old, and they're fresh out of college. And now they're going to be playing before 50,000 fans. I think it's going to be, to say the least, overwhelming for them. And let's see whether they will have the composure to be able to play a Game 7 smartly and intelligently. Something from Jelosa knows. Hi, sir, the Dean, your thoughts on who's going to get the finals MVP if Ginebra wins tomorrow? Wow, that's a very good question. And for that, I have to refer to my notes. Sino ba mga magagaling na gumagawa for Ginebra? And, let me share this with you. No? Kasi tuwing confident, itong ginagawa ko, every game, for every team, I chart their performance. And I put down their points, their rebounds, their assists, and it gives me a very clear reading kung how the team is performing, whether it's a 5-win game-winning streak or losing. And for Barangay Ginebra, sino kaya ang finals MVP? I would just have to say that it's Justin Brownlee. There's nobody else who is able to produce the kind of numbers that Justin Brownlee has produced. And he would be my hands-down choice. But if you were to choose a local, I think Scotty Thompson would be a very, very good candidate. But I think Christian Sanhardiger, by the way, had a very solid first few games in the finals. But nung napalitan si Nicholson, nag-iba na din ang style ni Coach Tim Cone sa pagdedepensa at paggamit ng mga bigs niya. So, nung wala si Nicholson, nawala din masyado yung paggamit kay Stan Hardinger because medyo mas maraming playing time na naibigay kay Japet Aguilar because he's able to match up well against Liu and Duncan Reed because he's more agile. So, yung mobility ni Japet will become now an advantage. Okay, this is from NNJDXB Vlogs. Is it safe to say that Ginebra ang dehado since it's reached Game 7? I think it's 50-50. Walang dehado, walang favored in Game 7. I think it's do or die, it's winner take all. Both these teams have won 3 games apiece in the finals. Kanya, ako ang rating ko dito 50-50. But I will stick to what I said. Kung high scoring, Bay Area ang mananalo. If it's a fast-paced game, yung ratratan, Yun ang laro ng Dragons. Meaning to say, if the transition attack is in high gear, mahihirapan ang Barangay Ginebra. Baka maubusan ang Barangay Ginebra sa dulo. But if it's a low-scoring game, deliberate, half-court set, Barangay Ginebra mananalo. You win with defense, that's Barangay Ginebra. You win with offense, that's Bay Area. Okay, ito naman si Bian Nagit. Will Bay Area come back for the next iterations of this current cup? Well, ang sabi nga ni Coach Brian Gurgen, it's an honor and privilege for their team to play in the PBA. And by the way, this team was just formed last July and they came to the Philippines last August. They have stayed in a hotel, yung Shangri-La, the Fort in BGC, for all these months, August, September, October, November, December. 6 months na sila. They're together. And, for a young team and for a team that whose players have come from different areas, I think this is a very solid effort. Kanya maganda ang samahan ng Bay Area because they've been living together for 6 months. And yes, in answer to that question, ang sabi din ng EASL CEO Matt Bayer is that kung maiimbitas ulit sila ng PBA, for sure, 110% they will be back. And by the way, I have to explain, the EASL is a league where the PBA is a partner, just like EASL is a partner of the PBA. And the Bay Area Dragons was formed out of what they call a Greater China. So Greater China means mainland China, Hong Kong, at saka Macau. So they got players from these 3 areas, plus they got 3 Asian heritage players. They were able to get approval from the PBA to play 2 out of the 3 Asian heritage players at the same time. The reason why there are Asian heritage players is that China kasi does not allow dual citizenship. So these 3 Asian heritage players, they're clearly half Chinese. Some of them are even full Chinese. Like Kobe Lam is half Chinese, half Laotian. Hayden Blankley is half English and half Chinese. His mother, Wang Li, is from Tianjin. And the third is Warren Liang, who hardly gets to play. So they don't have Chinese passports, but they were able to establish their Chinese lineage. So that was also a privilege that was granted to Bay Area. So yes, I'm hoping that the Bay Area comes back and plays again in the PBA. I think our PBA teams will be better prepared to match up against the Dragons next time out. Well, let's see if we have any more questions, kung meron pang mga pahabol. But if none, well, we've already gone over the 30-minute mark. We hope you enjoyed this discussion, our review of Game 7 of the PBA Finals. Bukas sa bukas po yan. It's going to be a very, very exciting game. It'll be at the Philippine Arena. We expect that venue to be full packed. I would hope over 50,000 people. But, more than the audience, I think the fans are going to be treated, whether you're watching live or on TV, the fans will be treated to an epic battle because Bay Area and Barangay Ginebra are coached by 2 genius coaches, Tim Cohn and Brian Gurgen. Both very disciplined teams, both teams playing different styles. One very fast-paced with great three-point shooting in Bay Area. The other one, very deliberate, very poised, slow down attack. And I think those styles are going to be fighting each other. The battle of wits between Cohn and Gurgen will be extremely exciting. And I think it will be a battle of the ages. So join us. Game 7 of the PBA Commissioners Cup Finals. Bukas sa bukas po yan, 5:45. We also want to thank One Sports, Signal TV, and TV5 for allowing us to use the footage of the last 5 seconds of Game 6. Special mention to First Vice President of Signal TV, Ms. Shena Olaso, Head of Channel and Content. So with that, and in behalf of my partner, Diane Castilleja, who is very busy attending to the Miss Universe pageant, this is Quinito Henson, thanking you for joining us on this special episode of Play It Right TV. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. We need you. We need you there, backing us up all the way into our second year of coverage of Play It Right TV. Thanks very much and see you again.